Dems bask in the Speaker's schadenfreude. It's the third day of a leaderless House, and Democrats are in no mood to bail Republicans out. They're not desperate enough yet, said Representative Elissa Slotkin, Democrat Michigan, who is precisely the type of moderate Democrat who would be involved in compromise conversations with the GOP. Eventually, she said she may be open to reaching a deal on a consensus candidate, such as when issues such as staff pay or inability to act on national security matters hit a breaking point. But until then, we're going to need to sit here and stay united while they figure out who they want to be. The incoming minority party has stayed totally united behind its leader, Representative Hakeem Jeffries, D-Mich, through over half a dozen rounds of balloting. It's so unified, in fact, that the pair of Democrats who missed a Wednesday procedural vote due to off-Hill political meetings apologized to the rest of the caucus during a closed-door meeting Thursday, according to two people familiar with the situation. A handful of Democrats have begun to engage in preliminary conversations with their GOP counterparts about how to end the standoff, including private chats on the floor, phone calls and even late-night meetings. But lawmakers across the caucus agree, it's far too early for any real talk of a power-sharing agreement to spare the Republicans further embarrassment. Even as some Republicans continue to float, and perhaps threaten, cooperation across the aisle as an option, Democratic leaders have unequivocally declined to engage, even with hypotheticals. They've repeatedly pointed to Jeffries' larger vote total than Republican leader Kevin McCarthy, and Jeffries noted Thursday it was time for Republicans to get their act together. And at the start of the eighth ballot, his deputy, House Minority Whip Katherine Clark, D-Mich, repeated Jeffries' vote count of 212 7 times. Democrats across the board were skeptical that any sort of cross-party power-sharing deal would work, even those that came from state legislatures that were under so-called coalition control, such as Alaska. Representative Mary Peltola, Democrat Alaska, a former state legislator, said she was open to a House with shared power between the parties if there were a coalition that were workable. But she acknowledged, if you're putting a coalition together with a field of 40 people, that's much more manageable than 435. And in Alaska, things don't seem to be nearly so entrenched. Even the staff here is entrenched. It's not just the elected members with these very hardline philosophies. During a caucus meeting Thursday morning, no members brought up even the possibility of working with the GOP, according to three people attending. Instead, Democrats were still ready to repeatedly oppose Republican attempts to adjourn the House and said they were prepared to stay in town as long as it took to get a speaker. At one point during the meeting, Jeffries began to repeat the mantra of his predecessor, former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, "Our diversity is our strength, our unity is our power," only to have the rest of the caucus repeat it in unison. This is a fight between them right now, between their right wing and their extreme right wing, said Representative Jim McGovern, D-Mich. They've got to figure this out. In fact, the vast majority of House Democrats are eyeing the infighting across the aisle with some schadenfreude. I don't see us helping them. I think they need to help themselves and I think they need to do their damn jobs, said Representative Jamal Bowman, Democrat New York. I mean, what the hell? You were sent here to govern. What is this? At the same time, the continued impasse has hampered the ability of lawmakers in both parties to run their offices. Democratic offices received guidance Thursday apologizing for an earlier miscommunication erroneously indicating they wouldn't be able to handle any new constituent casework with the House in limbo, according to a copy reviewed by Politico. The updated guidance blamed the error on Republicans' ongoing chaos. The longer the Speaker fight drags on, the more of an impact it will have on the House's operations since the chamber can't do anything until it elects a Speaker. If rules aren't adopted by January 13th, for example, committee staff won't be paid. We are, right now, a one-winged bird. We can't fly, we can't do anything. And it's making us vulnerable, Representative Emmanuel Cleaver, D-Mo, said, who said he's worried that U.S. enemies could be plotting how to capitalize on the chaos, particularly with escalating tensions abroad. If you're Poland, you're scared to death. As they look to break the standoff, Republicans have viewed moderate Democrats, particularly those from districts that voted for former President Donald Trump, as potential partners to help resolve the Speaker imbroglio. But those lawmakers aren't biting yet. Representative Pat Ryan, D-Mich, who triumphed in a close re-election fight last year, said of Republicans, "When in charge, take charge, right? We've been unified. We've made our selection. It's time for them to lead, follow or get out of the way, as they say. Only a handful of Democrats are willing to publicly entertain the idea of a compromise. Representative Ro Khanna, Democrat California, has raised the idea of supporting a moderate Republican speaker who could draw Democratic support, like Representative Brian Fitzpatrick, RPA. And Representative Marcy Kaptur, Democrat Ohio, has floated a unity caucus of Democrats who might be able to vote for McCarthy, but added she left the final decision to Republican and Democratic leaders who might hear the idea and then think about filling in the blanks and what that means. Pelosi, who united Democrats despite her own thin margin in the last Congress, said it was up to Republicans to sort out their own problems. They have to make a decision. They wanted to have control of the House. They have to take responsibility to do that, she said. We can help with legislation. We can help with upholding the dignity of the House of Representatives, but it's up to them to help themselves to elect the Speaker of the House.
I rise to nominate Kevin McCarthy, Speaker of the House. The American people have told us by putting a Republican majority here that they want Republicans to lead, and they want a government that works and doesn't embarrass them, and we are failing on both missions. That must change today.
I am directed by the Democratic caucus to advance the name of Hakeem Jeffries from New York as Speaker.
We will go to the mat for the American people because we will be led by people of conviction, like the gentleman from Florida, Byron Donalds. I yield back.
No member-elect having received the majority of the votes cast, a Speaker has not been elected.
At the direction of the Republican conference, I advance the name of Kevin McCarthy very proudly as the next Speaker of the House.
212, 212, 212, and today, 212. House Democrats stand united behind our leader because Hakeem Jeffries stands united for the American people.
I rise to place into nomination the name of my friend from Florida, Byron Donalds, for the Speaker of the House. We're having an internal fight. It's being displayed. I wish it wasn't necessarily being displayed, but the American people could see it. But I could tell you this. When this is over and done with, I know which side of the aisle is going to be laughing.
No member-elect having received a majority of the votes cast, a Speaker has not been elected.
I rise to nominate Kevin McCarthy as Speaker of the House. Kevin McCarthy has been our leader for the past 4 years and has overwhelming support within this conference.
House Democrats are ready, willing, and able to get to work for the American people. We will do so under the leadership of Hakeem Jeffries.
I would like to nominate the name of Byron Donalds. He's a man of intellect, he is a man of integrity, and he is a man that I am proud to nominate as the next Speaker of the House of Representatives.
I rise to nominate Hearn as Speaker of the House. You see that Kevin McCarthy does not have the votes. We need to get to a point where we start evaluating what life after Kevin McCarthy looks like.
No member-elect having received a majority of the votes cast, a Speaker has not been elected.
I rise to nominate Kevin McCarthy as Speaker of the House.
Kevin McCarthy is the person to lead this body in this new fight.
House Democrats stand united again on this ballot to make sure that Hakeem Jeffries is the lead vote getter in this chamber.
I would like to rise to nominate Byron Donalds for Speaker of the House. I want to clarify something real quick to my colleagues across the aisle. In no way, shape, or form will a Democrat ever hold the gavel to a Republican-controlled House.
Let's elect a Republican who can unify our conference, who is a true leader. I'm casting my vote for Kevin Hearn, and I hope you will as well.
No member-elect having received a majority of the votes cast, a Speaker has not been elected.
I stand before you today with unqualified support to nominate my friend, the next Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy.
It is 6:30 p.m. here in Washington, D.C. The House of Representatives, this sacred institution, needs a leader. And I am here to tell you that leader is Hakeem Jeffries of the great state of New York.
We also have to restore to the Speaker's office an actual person that ought to be in the Speaker's office, not the squatter who is currently there. And if the architect of the Capitol is listening, I sent a letter, and I would like to know what the basis is to allow somebody to occupy the Speaker's office who comes in second place 10 straight times. And so I nominate President Trump because we must make our country great again, and he can start by making the House of Representatives great again.
They've told me not to vote for the status quo, not to vote for the next-in-line establishment creature of the swamp cartel. So it's my privilege to put an official nomination, Kevin Hearn, for Speaker of the House.
No nominee having received the majority of the votes cast, a Speaker has not been elected.